Hello there. I have some fall DIYs using Dollar Tree wooden houses, and I'm happy to say that I joined the What Would You Make challenge again, so everything's going to be made out of wood. I'm Whitney with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots, and let's jump into the craft room. But first, let me tell you about the What Would You Make challenge. I participated and I was the guest house last month. Had so much fun. I want to join the open playlist this month. Today, for what are we in? September. I had to look at my calendar for that. For September, we have the guest host is Brandy with the DIY Struggle, and the two regular hosts, these wonderful ladies, my friend Brenda with Rustic Lakes DIY, as well as Christine with Divine Designs. The links to these three wonderful creators, as well as the open playlist, is in my description box below. Lots of ideas, lots of fun. So take a look, and let's jump into the first project. Now, what I have here is a Dollar Tree wooden house. This is one of those little chalkboard signs. Now, it says, I believe it says wood, black, whiteboard, wood hanging, black or whiteboard. So you could pick wood, you could pick wood. You could pick the blackboard, which I guess that is, which is plastic, or a whiteboard. I haven't seen the whiteboards, but I've had this in my stash for some time. It had a little hanger on the back of it. I took that off, and we're going to just take the outside, and I'm going to use my favorite it's a folk art wood decor. Folk art home decor wood tint in the color walnut. This is my absolute favorite color. I love it. It gives you a deep color. Now, if you want to lighten it, you can add some water to it, but I haven't done that yet. Every time I think I want a lighter feel, look at that color. It's pretty. So I'm going to stain and use this tint on the full border, the whole wooden border. Now, we're going to be putting all kinds of stuff on the middle, so it doesn't matter if you're going to get this on the middle parts. And in the back, it's up to you. I like my things to look finished, so I just tried to maintain on the edges in the back. But we're going to use this scrap paper. This is a smaller piece of scrap paper I got at Hobby Lobby many years ago. It used to be about that big. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of guesstimate, and I'm going to use an X-Acto knife here to get the cuts. Now, a lot of times I don't like to use inserts or papers and stuff like this when I can't take the borders off, because I prefer to just glue it all down and then use sandpaper on it. But we're gonna work with what we got, right? So I've got this very sharp, threatening X-Acto knife, which they've worked wonderful. The blades are crazy sharp. I got some off of Amazon. You could take a peek at my Amazon shop if you want. Now I'm gonna use this double-sided adhesive. It's scrapbook adhesive, and I've been running low. I know the last couple videos I've asked you if you know any, ideas for, glue runners, or this is an ad tech glue runner. I've used to get everything from this at Hobby Lobby. I'm just looking for something newer that gives me a longer, a larger amount of the tape inside of it. But in any event, until I actually run out of this, I guess maybe then I'll force myself to actually go forth into the world and get another glue runner. But anyways, the scrapbook adhesive is some pretty good stuff. Now see, I'm showing you my mistake here. I put a cut in the paper, but you don't notice it after we glue it down. But we're also going to cover that up with this wonderful twisted sisal sisal twine, so that way you won't see my mistakes. But also on top of that, it's cute even if you're not using it to cover up boo-boos. You tell me. Also, we're going to put a bow on the top of it anyway, so it will also pull your eyes away from any said mistakes or anything like that. Again, there's always a way to cover up your mistakes. I like to show them to you. I like to blatantly show, look what I did wrong. Here, let me put it in your face. Look what I did. Here, look here. So, like normal, I'm just going to go along and show you guys. Gluing this part down was actually kind of fun. It's a thinner twine, and I have a precision tip glue gun that is the bomb with that stuff. I've got that little Surebonder on Amazon a while back, and I couldn't be happier. I was like, I don't want to have two glue guns, but a regular size glue gun just wouldn't have worked in this instance. So the sisal twine's a little crazy, got a little bit of fuzzies on it, but I didn't take those off. Sisal's meant to be kind of weird and crazy looking, so I just kind of cleared all this off after gluing it, made sure I cleaned it up, tacked it all down, and I had a nice little border there. So that's also if you can't cut straight, which, I mean, again, I'm not a measurer, but it's all good. So we got that covered. Now I got these cute little craft pumpkins. Look at these, you guys. Look how thick they are. I got them at Hobby Lobby I think I got them during 4th of July, because all the 4th, look at it. Look at them. That's how excited I was. We're going to use 3 of them, and I'm going to paint them different colors, but I think I got them back in July. So they're brand new to me. Now I want to make sure the stems are going 3 different ways. So if you see they're curving, one's left, then right, then left again. That's important for me, at least, to show you that ahead of time, because I'm only going to paint one side. So I want to go with colors that are close to the paper that I'm using. So depending on your choice, your theme, your preference, go with that. So you're going to see me paint a turquoise color because I'm pulling out a very small little stripe of turquoise there. Then we're going to use another like pumpkin-y color. So I'm just showing you a close-up of the paints I use, the brands, the names. And then also this one's an older one, and I didn't think red would look good, but it really does pull out the right color in that paper when you see a second from now. Now, after these acrylic paints are dry, I'm going to use my dark wax, DIY dark wax that I get from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. I love all the DIY products from her, amazing. Now I'm taking just the edge of it and I'm just distressing the edge of it. Now you can do this with some, the permanent inks, like the scrapbooking inks or the Tim Holtz distress inks. You could do the same thing. I do not have any of those. I do have them, but I don't have those little daubers you could use. So I probably could have with my finger or paper towel or something. But the DIY wax gives me, I'm so used to using it. I know the control and I know what I need to do with it. But again, there are other ways to get this, faded look around the edges. But I did want the pumpkins to have a little bit of an edge, a darkened edge around them. Make them look a little vintage. Make them look that style that I love so much, that beautiful little farmhouse look. Basically, farmhouse means broken and aged. That's the way I like it. You be like dirty, broken and aged. It's perfect. Love it. So we're going to stack them. We're going to do a classic little punky stack. Look how cute they are. I can't help it. I don't know what it is. I should have bought a couple bags of them because, I don't know what I could do so many things with them. I don't need to know. I don't need to know what I would do with them. I just like to have them, just to hold them. So we're going to stack them, larger to smaller. And look at the colors. The colors are pulling out the perfect little bits in that scrapbook paper. It's so simple and so cute. And this could go pretty fast, if you're not a jibber jabber or a long time taker in the craft room like me. You can get this one done pretty quick. I mean, you can finish now and be done with it. But of course, I felt like it was a little too naked. It was a little too, it needed something. So I added I added a bow. So I'm taking that same sisal twine that we used around the edge earlier, and I'm just twisting them around my fingers, and then I'm pinching all that in the middle. So I'm taking it off my fingers, and I'm just holding it down in the middle. I'm going to cut off the other end so I have a good idea of the tails. Now, the tails weren't long enough by the time I was done here, so we're going to add a separate tail, but I'll show you in a second. Without having to tie any knots or do anything here, I'm just going to take what would normally be our tails, and I'm going to wrap it around the center of our bundle. So you're not even really tying a bow. We're just kind of bundling the middle up by wrapping it around. You don't have to hold anything. You do have to hold it together or it'll just kind of pop apart. But you don't have to use any, weird pretzel finger ideas to try to get your bows done. So all you see, I'm just putting some hot glue, just a little tiny dot of hot glue. That's just to tack things in, to hold them in. And I'm just kind of, make sure you're pulling on certain things. Now, sorry, I kind of got a little bit low out of frame because I was just kind of, I zoned out and forgot that I was recording. Just thought I was making stuff for my own happiness. Now, I just started wrapping it more. You could see it, if you let go at all, it'll kind of pop apart. But if you have a silicone mat, it might be easier to hold things down on that at some point. And you'll see I hold it down here. And this is going to be the back. And I pull the last little bit of them over the back, the tails. Now, if they'd been longer, it'd been great. Once I got done here, I liked the bundle and I liked the way it looks in the middle, but the tails were too short. So I just cut off the excess. And now we have a little tail. We have a cute little bow, no tail. So I'm just going to take a longer piece of the jute twine. I'm going to cut it off and I'm going to look and see how these kind of lay here because I'm going to tack them down just so they don't move around. And now I'm going to glue this piece down first, this one stray piece of sisal twine. And then we're going to glue our little bow bundle right on top of that. And now this gives the appearance that these are the tails. See, that's a cute little hack there if you don't want to deal with having to worry about how long your first tail is, or if you don't want to deal with a tail at all, you can just bundle them, tie knots around them, cut off the excess, and then give yourself your own tail. You can also add multiple strands of any kind of twine or ribbon, and then you have basically multiple tails on your bow, and nobody will ever know, except for the fact that I'm telling you about it right now, but still, on your project, nobody will ever know. Now I'm just cleaning up the extra little glue bits. I wanted to tack these down so they didn't move. The sisal twine's a little crazy. It does its own thing, and I wanted it to sit where I wanted it to. I wanted it to go to its home and stay there. So I commanded it with some glue. What do you think? I love how it turned out. It's so cute. Now, this wouldn't stand up. So my idea here is this little extra piece. This is a Dollar Tree frame. I've had many of them. They're very standard if you're a Dollar Tree goer tour. shopper, you'll see these many times. I'm not even taking the back. I want the stand on the back of it, so I'm going to use this as our stand. It gives it weight. It gives it health. It gives it a heft and some weight, and it makes it now a stand-up piece. So again, it's a small piece for $1.25. Yes, I'm adding $1.25 in the supplies, in the cost, but in the long run, for what I think I wanted to use it for, I really think it's a good idea to save some of these. If you're not able to save the backs of some of the pictures or anything like that, a lot of times if I'm doing DIYs and I tear apart picture frames, I will save the backing so I have the stands. But this instance, I didn't have that, and I think this worked out great. And I love these colors. Tell me what you think. Now, second project. Now, okay, stick with me. There's a lot of steps to this one, but I hope that you will like it once we're done. Now, we've got a little 3x2 picture frame, and then we have two of these classic house shapes that many of us know. If you have any of them, you know that they've been around Dollar Tree for ages. Now, starter here, we're going to just basically glue and tape and decoupage and paint and stain. They're not going to look the same. So I'm going to take the backs off. I'm going to get all the extra goopies off the back. The paper always rips. The glue comes off the back of these. So just clean them all up, take them apart and clean them all up. Now we're going to have a frame separate from a backing. And with the backings, I'm going to use the sides that are the back of it because we're going to put just brown paper on the paper part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this with my DIY paint in the color beadboard. Again, I mentioned before, I get all of my DIY products from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. There's a link in a description, a link and a code in my description below for any of those things, and take a peek at it. There is many things. We also get the decoupage paper. The rice paper I'm going to use here too. There, lots and lots of cool stuff. Take a peek at that. Now, I only gave about one coat. You can see it kind of looks a little rough here. I did just go over it with my paintbrush. So once the one coat is dry, we're going to use this wonderful rice paper. It's called Autumn Message, again from Milton's Daughter. This is what it looked like whole, and you can see it's missing the punkies. I cut the punkies out, and I thought about using this one too, also from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. But for what I wanted to do, we're going to be covering up some of this background to the point where I didn't want to hide. Those punkies need to be showcased. So the floral backgrounds and the colors and all this, I thought were going to be great for what I wanted to do here. And it almost looks as though what I have left as a remnant of this rice paper, this decoupage paper, it was like it was meant to be. So with one little corner there that might not get a piece on it, we're gonna Frankenstein it. I'll show you in a second. I'm just going to use this. And the colors turn out great. Everything's just, I love how it, sometimes your leftovers are meant to be. And that's not just talking about in the kitchen. Sometimes leftovers, I love leftovers. I'm just saying. Let me know. Are you a leftover person? Because I am. Now we're going to decoupage with my favorite medium. It's liquid patina. Again, Debbie's DIY liquid patina is my favorite. I seem to be a huge DIY fan. So you use whatever medium works for you. But if you want to take a peek or try out the liquid patina, go on and grab you some from Milton's Daughter. And then let me know how you like it, because I have never had a rip, a bubble, a wrinkle, nothing. This stuff is great. And you can see here is I put like a little couple, well, not a couple, I put a decent amount down while I'm holding my piece in place. And I lift up the one part and put that down. Then that's stuck down after you smooth it out. And then I place the rest of the liquid patina underneath going the opposite direction. Everything here turns out great and smooth. I'm just smoothing it with my hands. I used some pretty thin papers in the past. I have not tried tissue paper yet, have I? I've used tissue paper, but I don't know if I've used it with the liquid patina. I don't imagine I have a problem because some of these rice papers are super thin. If you saw right there, I just pieced together something on the corner. None of this is going to show because my point, my idea for the project is to layer these items, and there's going to be pumpkins, and then that other little picture frame will be on top. So again, I already know my thought process and my plan for this. So that corner I didn't actually really need to cover, but for all intents and purposes, maybe if my idea changes along the way, at least it'll be covered. Now, all of this works out great. After the backs have put down, I did not wait for them to dry 100%, but I did let them sit for a good 10-15 minutes while I jibber-jabbered and got lost in my phone probably. And before I put this extra coat of liquid patina on top. I like to concentrate on the edges when I do this so that they don't come up or so they don't, just to absolutely make sure that that is all sealed in. And then I just give a nice generous coat on the outside. Once they're dry, it's pretty crunchy, pretty hard. And then our extra little pieces, that are hanging over the edges are super easy to file off. So this is a fingernail file. This is like for acrylic nails and stuff. This is a pretty heavy duty nail file, but any sanding block, sandpaper will do. I just am usually pretty impatient when it comes to this stuff. And once this patina hardens, you need to come at it pretty aggressively. So make sure that that's something that you got, that you want to use. And just again, file away from you in a downward motion, just to basically, you're perforating it and you're pulling off the edge with it. Basically, you're tearing it, but you're giving it a nice clean edge. And now, before we move forward with these little pieces, we have to cover the backs of them, because I literally cannot leave. The paper on the back of these things is the nightmare. So we're going to put some brown craft paper on the back, make it kind of look like one of those, it's all about trying to, fool you into thinking this is a retail piece. I like retail, what I like to call is retail quality or retail shelf quality, finished backs of projects. I don't leave things to where you can see that it used to be, from Easter or something like that. To me, I hate that. I don't know why. It bothers me. If it doesn't then please go forward and do what you do, because it all matters is that you're happy. And this makes me happy, because if I know that's back there. Ugh. Also, if it's a centerpiece, because this is a tabletop piece, nobody wants to see the back of that unless you're putting it up against the wall, like for a shelf setter, sure. But again, if this is something you don't want to do, skip this step. I think it adds just that last little bit of finished, even though you're not looking at it. When you do see it, it's still nice and clean and neat. So the same exact thing we did with the decoupage paper, we're doing with the brown craft paper. Now I use that scrapbook adhesive again to put this down, because this is not me. I mean, liquid patina is not needed for this. Don't need to decoupage this on. Now we have two clean little pieces, but we're going to actually stain the frames before we put them back in there. So this is a gel stain that I got from Amazon. I wanted to use a different color brown than I used in our previous project, and I wanted it to just kind of be a little bit more warmer. My favorite color, that walnut color with the wood tint, was going to be a little bit too dark for the papers and the colors that I wanted to put in here. And this turns into a nice warm, almost has a little bit of a reddish tint to it. That I believe it was oak. Of course, I wasn't paying attention to my own video here. I believe it's the color oak. This is also in my Amazon shop. So again, take a peek at the link in my description and pinned in my first comment if you want to. It'll be under project supplies, and it's just a nice little inexpensive thing here. I also did the edges. Remember, we have a frame for the inside and the outside, so I did the whole outside, the whole inside, and then also the edges, which we end up painting that later, so don't pay attention too much to that. And now I am going to secure our frames together before I put the backings in. I want them to stand together as one piece. So with a combination of my Titebond quick and thick wood glue, and then also hot glue, some clamps, we get these pieces as one. So now they are happy, they are friends. And we're gonna connect our backers to it. With this, all I used was hot glue. We're putting that on top of the decoupage medium that has dried. So the liquid patina is dried, and it's gonna secure to the back of the wood frames. I mean, if you wanna call that wood, I believe it's compressed something. It's something that qualifies as wood at some point. And then all I'm doing is just making sure that the backings are there, everything's neat and added up and even, and then letting that sit to the side. So I'm going to get started on our third little frame that we're going to attach to the front of this here. So this was a picture frame, but I wanted it to be a solid piece. So what I'm doing is I'm taking apart the pieces that go inside the frame, because I need to fill in the front where the frame kind of dips in where you see your picture at. So I just have some heavy duty cardboard envelopes that I had some things shipped to me in. And with the insert from the picture here, I cut around that to make a little template. And then I use that to basically cut out 3 pieces here. At first I thought I only needed 2, but it wasn't thick enough. And you'll see, if I'm not making sense, you're gonna see in a second. We're gonna layer this here to kind of bring up the base, or we're gonna try to bring that, we're filling a hole without actually having to get something, a piece of wood that size, or I don't want to fill it with air dry clay and wait for it. I needed to find a quick, fast solution. So layering some thicker cardstock to bring up that piece here was my best idea for what I wanted to do. In a pinch, so you see it's kind of even with that. So I don't want the blue here, this scrap paper I'm going to use. I don't want the kind of blue on the edge right there. So I'm showing you. I'm going to push this a little bit over to the middle, but we're going to do the same thing that we've done with the other ones. And again, my scrapbook adhesive is my go-to when it comes to scrapbook paper on a lot of projects. This adhesive, sometimes people don't give it the credit it needs. That stuff is permanent. I was a scrapbooker for so many years. And when you're using some of these permanent adhesives, it'll tell you whether or not you can reposition your projects. And when it says it's permanent, they're not lying. I have not had a piece of paper come off nicely. If it says permanent, it's not coming off without a fight, and it will not come off in one piece. So make sure you place these things down if you're using these adhesives right where you want them, or hopefully you have more than one piece of the same paper. Now, same thing as our little pumpkins. I bought leaves too. Look how cute they are. Now again, the pumpkins just literally make me smile. But these leaves are also very festive, very fall, very me, make me happy. And now with this one, I'm using the wood tint, the Folk Art Home Decor wood tint and walnut that I love so much, because this is like a feature to it. We're going to put this on our little house here. Now, I tried to use the leftover of the wood tint off my paper towel, but it wasn't giving me that edge that I wanted, like the ones we got on the pumpkins in our first project. So I came back at it with my dark wax again and my dark wax brush. And I love the edging. I mean, the aging that you can give to the edge with this stuff. It's kind of amazing. It also is sealing your project. It seals wood. You know, the waxes are a good sealer. We're going to place our little leaf right on top of that after I get the little edge. You see, look at the little dusting. It's like a shadowy effect on the outside of the edge of this little frame here. And then now also, because most of the majority of our piece that we filled in the middle is covered, it's not going to be an issue should you worry about it like not being enough support. It's thick enough that paper is sitting on top of it. Then of course I finished off the edges with more of the dark wax around the outside edge there. Now here's the symbol of our whole piece. She's whole again, and I needed some little bit more color. So what I'm going to do here is I'm marking off the edges around the houses here where the front house will cover, and I'm going to use that same color we used in our first one. It's apple barrel vino, and I think it's the perfect red color because we have those leaves and flowers in our rice paper underneath there, the decoupage paper. So I'm just taking this, and again, this is an edge of a particle board, so it soaks up the paint. Just be careful. I did the outside edge on all of them where I marked it off, and on the back, just for more peace of mind, I am adding some craft tape to the back and the front where I want this to be a little bit more secure. There's not a problem my wood glue had not set at all yet. I literally started doing this and only let that sit for a little bit while I was doing some other painting, but I want to make sure that she doesn't come apart, and I'm not able to put some staples in this project anywhere where it would actually go through. I don't have staples that thick, so what we're going to use is the craft tape, or the craft tape. Now I'm going to put in some styrofoam pieces because we're going to layer in some good stuff. Now I figured that this styrofoam would be a good way to give it something else to hold on to. That's up to you if you think this was worth it, because on this piece here that I'm putting in, my glue melts the styrofoam, which, it's not like it's my first day here. I should have known, Whitney, this glue that's on 1 billion degrees, flesh melting hotness is going to melt all of the inside of the styrofoam. But I was looking for more of a support than I was an actual, usable piece of styrofoam, but the styrofoam is supposed to be usable. So in any event, I was using it to have something else to secure this cute little frame to. So if you'll see here, I'm putting glue on around the edges of the frames, and then I'm going to add little bits here and there right on top of the other styrofoam. That's just for added support. Honestly, that's probably for my own peace of mind. Probably isn't actually doing anything at all. It's just I like to lie to myself while I'm crafting. Do you guys do that? Do you lie to yourself? I do it all the time. Now I have these decorative picks I've got at Dollar Tree some time ago. They have them every year. So I'm using what I have left of our little mini ones. Now I'm going to take the stems off of all of them because they're ridiculously long and they look weird. And I'm going to take them all off, poke them in the styrofoam. I have this extra piece of styrofoam. This is what I use to poke things into when I'm painting or basically painting multiple items, Easter eggs, all kinds of stuff. You've seen me use this in the past. Now I'm going to use my wood tint on the stems, so the stems will actually be brown, and then I can actually put them in at the proper, the proper diagonal or the proper, what's the word I'm looking for? At the proper view, so that they look like stems. And then what I'll do with the rest of the pumpkins is I'm using the acrylic paint Pumpkin Spice. This is such a cute, beautiful, deeper. It's not a bright orange. It's a darker orange, and it's so nice. So I'm going to paint. I'm going to paint. Words, guys. I'm going to paint all 7 of the punkies this cute little pumpkin spice color. And that's just to give it some pop. And I don't want it to age too much, but I don't want it to be too bright, but I don't want it to be too dark. So after they're all dry, repositioned everything, there's the stems. We are going to take the stems off, put hot glue on the end, and put them in properly to where a stem looks like a stem. I mean, again, these are Dollar Tree things, so they're nothing if not reliable for us to pull them apart and make them look normal. Look at all these pumpkins. Look how cute they are. They're so cute. Now, I needed one more pumpkin for the other side that I wanted to use, so I cut one of the larger ones. I had a package of the small, medium, and larges. So I used all the rest of the smalls. I had 7 left. And then now for this larger one, I just took one out of my pack. And you'll see me using the little sander there. That's to get the little black speckles off, because some of these things are hard to paint. Those little black speckles would take like 6 coats of this acrylic paint. So I used my little, sanding file there to get those off. Now, it seems appeared that I've lost my footage or I skipped it. I did use some DIY dark wax to age these things around the tops and edges, and I did that while it was still on the little styrofoam thing and just used my hand to support them. Now here I took the bottom stem out and put it at a diagonal so that I could poke this little punky into the styrofoam behind it. So a lot of times at this point, I'm going to fill in the backs and the corners with pumpkins. That's really all I wanted to do. I just wanted an excuse to put pumpkins in something. I mean, I don't really need an excuse because I like pumpkins and I am not ashamed. But I'm trying to just position the sticks in these so that they can, go through that Spanish moss that we put in there and somehow make contact with the styrofoam underneath. But it's also not 100% important because they're such lightweight. You can stick them to each other and you don't necessarily need the support. Some of the styrofoam might have been also to just, fill in space instead of having to fill it in with Spanish moss. Now I have a little empty space here between all these pumpkins, so I took a little tiny bit of Spanish moss. I rolled it in the palm of my hand to create a ball, and I'm just using one of the stem pieces there to kind of manipulate and move it all around. Now on the left side here, the vertical piece, as me testing it out, I'm going to put our half pumpkin that we made onto the left side of diagonal, because I love diagonals. And then I think I ended up only putting 1 pumpkin over here. Yeah, I only put 1 pumpkin over here, and then I ended up putting the other one on the left side. So it's like, why not make it the bundle even bigger? And then you see me put a little bit of glue at the back just to secure it. You secure your pumpkins down and around every which way you can. Whatever way makes you happy. If you need to add a little bit more, securing it to the backing of the house where we put that decoupage paper. Still, hot glue is a very good medium to use. This is an indoor piece. It's meant to be tabletop shelf setter. So it will have a very boring life, making us happy just to look at it. So that's it. What do you think? I got it all filled up with all the goodies. You can't see any styrofoams. You can't see the behind the scenes. And I did use the dark wax from Debbie's DIY dark wax on all those pumpkins. I just do not know why it did not make it into the video. Apparently I do not have that footage. Or it was one of those times where I thought I hit record and it didn't. And then I recorded myself not doing things like, oh, what'd you do? I recorded myself cleaning the table. That's what you guys want to watch, right? Also, I added that little sisal twine bow to her right there in the middle. Also very easy. Tell me what you think. Okay, now our last DIY here. This is a very popular piece that came out. Everyone saw I saw so many creators using these little buffalo check houses, and I couldn't help it. Now, I've covered them in the past, but this one I want to use the buffalo check on. So once I got the little extra piece off the front, I'm going to take my wood tint in that walnut color I love so much, and I'm going to stain the roof. I've taken the roofs off of these things before. They don't tend to come off in one piece for me. You might get lucky. Half the time I try to mess with stuff in the store to see if it just falls off for me, and then I will buy that one. Just like if it came off easily, I'm going to buy it. But in this event, it's just using a paper towel. Actually, I think that's a baby wipe. So using a baby wipe and just gingerly going along the edges, we're good to go. And now I went back with my dark wax, and we're going to do that same aging technique around the edges. So I'm taking the dark wax and I'm brushing downwards and away from the edge. Now, this buffalo check fabric is working to my advantage. It's got texture, it's got a thickness, it's a good medium to adhere things to. Hot glue loves it. But I was going to do the whole piece here and then thought, well, hold on, Whitney, you got to glue stuff to this, so calm down with the wax, because glue and wax are no friends. Now, this other house shape here, this is the only one that's from Michael's. That was from a Michael's purchase. And then now we're going to use one of these little punky cutouts, and this is from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to take my same wood tint here, and I'm going to just go all over the house shape from Michael's. Now these were, when I purchased these were up front by the register in like the little dollar bins. I'm not sure where they're at now, but they do still sell all kinds of shapes. And we're going to go at everything now that we've stained them and we've finished the pieces we want. We're going to go at them with more scrapbook paper. So you've seen me use this little piece here, this scrapbook paper on the previous project on the little house picture frame that we had at the front of it. And it does have some blue in it. So you can see here, that's how much adhesive I put on there. You couldn't really, I was like, there's no reason for you to actually watch me do that. I'm going to use some of the piece at the bottom that actually had some of the blue on it. I don't know if it actually makes a difference in the long run, like if you're actually going to see it or not. But I just wanted to show you exactly how much I put on there. This stuff's not coming off. And now this, look at this lovely paper. I've had this from Hobby Lobby for a couple years. So pretty. All the blue plaid with the pumpkins and the stacked punkies makes me happy. Again, we are doing this same premise as we done on the previous 2 projects, on the previous 50 pieces of things that I put scrapbook paper on. So it's a lot of repetitive stuff, but you can see how different of a feel you get every time you change the shape or the color or the theme. After we get that off the edges, we're going to go again with our dark wax around the edges. And then same thing for our pumpkin. Once you get that edge on there, it's like, I don't know, how would you describe that? It's such a smoky, it's a smoky flavor. Not a flavor. Please do not put wax in mouth. Do not put your project in your mouth. It gives it just a nice aged look. Makes me happy. This is the stuff that's my style. If it's not your style, we can omit this step. Use different fabrics. Use different papers, colors, ribbons. We could do all kinds of stuff. So if there's something that you know that's not like a normal that you see all the time, let me know, and I would love to try it out. I like the challenge of, creating things that aren't technically my taste, that aren't like, oh, I don't love it, but I would love to try to create them for other people. I mean, that's the gift of artist, right? If you can create things. Also, interior designs always interested me, and it's not always the same stuff. Everybody likes something different. So give me some ideas in the comments if you want to see me do something different. I would love to try, and I'll either bomb or I won't, but I'll be asking you about it. Now, in order to layer this other house on top after I put the pumpkin down, I have a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to use these leftover pieces these are jumbo craft sticks, and I have saved these pieces from other projects because they're very good. They're still good quality items. You saw my little bag of extra junky pieces, and I'm just cutting them into pieces to kind of surround our pumpkin so that we have enough room around the edges. And this is again to fill the gap so that you see here, you can see that we have a little bit of space that you would not normally have. You'd have a gap, and then the top piece would be crooked. So I'm going to take my very small little tiny bundle of jute twine from Amazon. Again, as you can see, I am running out 3,600 feet. It's all good. It's because I did that out of spite, because Dollar Tree would not carry any of the dang twine I needed in the store for at least 6 months. So I said, fine. Now, again, I got a better deal than buying it for $1.25 for 3 rolls. But if you don't want 3,600 feet of it, then yeah, don't go there. Don't go to Amazon and get it. If you do, it's actually better quality and it's nicer stuff than what you get at Dollar Tree. But still, in any event, we're going to just wrap the twine around it. And I cut out a lot of it because I spent at least 10 minutes wrapping, rewrapping, moving this around, putting this on this edge, putting it that on the edge, getting it straight, laying it flat. I eventually committed here and just glued it down on the back where I wanted it. And my idea is I wanted to bundle it in a specific part in the front because we're going to put a cute little feature on the front there, a cute little accent. And then on this one, I'm burning off the fuzzies, but it doesn't have that many. So that's a step you can omit if you don't want to. And now that I've added the twine to the house also is still setting crookedly because it's not even. So I took this piece off here. I didn't really need to. This is not where the issue is. The issue with the twine running into anything is at the pumpkin, and I am not cutting into that pumpkin, nor am I trying to find the proper angle of where to cut it in, because then you would see it. So I don't know that this particular part would have been avoidable. Let me know if you have ideas or if you can see a better solution, but I needed to have the twine on it. So I just used my own. At that point, after I took it off, I was like, I'm not going to put it back on. And here's me fussing with it again. So I figured, here, I got this where I needed to go. I'm going to glue this down now, and we'll see what happens. Come on, Whitney. Get your glue gun. Not sure exactly why I didn't cut this out or why I'm making you watch me do this. This is me I needed to get a glue stick out of my carousel and put it in the glue gun because I was running out of glue. So apparently I wanted you to watch me do that. Sorry, guys. Editing is sometimes my own entertainment as well. So now I'm putting enough glue on the edges here and there, up and down on the sides where I know the house will touch and I know where the shapes will touch. Filling in our spaces. I think I meant to speed this up and I didn't, but we'll see what happens. It's too late now. I've committed. Holding that down. She's so cute. I don't know. Just love pumpkins. Now our little extra piece is a little cupcake pick. I've had these for some years, and again, they come out with them every year. They're within the fall stuff. It's always like, you know, the little baking stuff that you can get. These little picks are so cute. It's this little acorn. So I'm using a baby wipe there because usually when I've done this in the past, I have burnt my fingers, not knowing that, hey, Whitney, you just applied copious amounts of heat to something. Let's touch it. Yeah, no, don't do that. It's like, here's your sign. I knew that was going to happen, yet I still touched it. Why? Now, there wasn't any cleanup because that's why I used the heat gun. Instead of cutting off the stick where you would see it stick out of the bottom, I just warmed it up enough to where the stick came out. So you're reactivating the older glue or whatever glue they're using. And I put everything together. Then you saw me finishing there off with the wax that I wanted to around the actual buffalo check fabric in the back. And now, again, I couldn't leave alone. I thought I would be done with it, but as I looked at it, I wanted to put a bow here. So again, wrap these things around your fingers, bring them together, pinch them in the middle, and then take what you have as an extra tail there and wrap that around the center. And you'll notice that it gets easier to hold at that point. This is not as unruly as the sisal twine is, so this is a lot easier to manipulate and hold. That's why it's still in my hand. So I'm going to show you here. Add a small piece of glue here in the middle, and then hold down that last loose little end here. If you have a little silicone, I think I grabbed my silicone spatula and I just kind of hold it with my fingers just to get it to kind of just finish up, solidify, cool off so it's hardened. Cut off the extra little piece. And then my plan was to test. I didn't know where I wanted to put it, so I kind of placed it in a few spots. But inevitably, I still use my far to get off some of the fuzzies. Sometimes I leave them on, sometimes I don't. But I decided I wanted it to be here. Now my concern was the fact that I'd put some dark wax under there already, but she's fine. I put a dollop of glue there, placed my bow right in the middle of it, and it's good to go. That wax was absorbed by the fabric underneath, and there's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with it. Cleaned up some of the edges with the glue, and that's it. Tell me what you think of it. This turned out to be so cute. All these house shapes. I mean, again, it's probably because I covered most of it and added pumpkins to everything. But even then, just think of this outside the box. You could do any theme you want, any holiday, any color palette, anything. You could use lemons. You could do Halloween. We could do ghosts. You could do anything. So tell me what you would do with this. Unless punkies are your jam, because they are for me. I love it. But that's it for that little guy. Look at the houses. Now I have a random piece of wood that I couldn't just leave alone. Here's a scrap box of wood that I got from Amazon some time ago. This was one of the pieces in there. Couldn't say no to it. So I'm going to make just a cute little random sign because I wanted to. So I'm going to use my IOD stamps called apothecary labels. These were brand new, just this last release. Now Christmas hasn't come out yet. This was their last release here. I think it was a summer release. And look at the size of these. Now they've added some color to their stamps so you don't lose these little pieces. I'm going to spell out the word punkies, because that's my word, and you know, you've been with me for a while, you know, I don't really say pumpkins too much, I say punkies. Now, I tested it out here on this piece of extra scrap paper, and it looks great, doesn't it? It's wonderful. But first, before we stamp, I'm going to use this essential stencil set of rub-on transfers that I got called Pumpkin Harvest. And I'm taking just the tiny little pieces. I've cut these off of some of the pumpkins and the gourds in that piece. It's gorgeous. You're going to see me use this stencil probably in the next video or so. So you're going to see the actual big pieces of it. But this was just to feature smaller things that I wanted on this little sign. Couldn't put a pumpkin on it. The pumpkins I have are all too big. But this gives you the effect. This obviously the flowers that come off the pumpkins, the tendrils, the pumpkin leaves, you know, and then the blossoms, the blossoms look when the pumpkins are growing. It gives me the feel that I love. So rub-on transfers are pretty straightforward. You take your piece, you apply it to the piece you're going to adhere it to, rub it with some sort of stylus, And then that's what you're working with, and you're done. So then inked up my stamp again, and did not pay attention to how crooked it is. So you're going to see in a second. A lot of times I will still go with things and try to say, oh, I'll make it look like it's weathered or something. This, to me, I could not get around the fact that it was so crooked on the top, on the right side where the IES was. So I'm using Tim Holtz Distressed ink. That stuff's permanent. It doesn't come off. It dries in seconds. These were thin stamps. So I had a little sanding party for a good, 10, 15 minutes. It took a lot. Now you can still see them just barely, but I got to a point where I was happy. And then here I brought everything closer to me. I'm standing up above it. I'm looking down on the edges. Then I'm making sure everything is straight as it can be. We're still not looking for perfection, but we want it to look at least like it doesn't have some sort of neck injury. Now, I have a few other pieces I'm adding to it. I had one more leaf, and I have a couple tendrils, and the tendrils I knew I wanted them to go across the letters. So I'm going to put those little pumpkin tendrils going across my very, very front of the project. And that's what we're working with. Look how cute it is. So you can't really see my mistake back there, but I want to show you what I did. I mess up too, guys. I mess up all the time, and I want to show you how I fixed it. And now we're going to seal everything with a combination of the DIY clear wax and dark wax. So at first I'm using clear wax here, and it darkens up the wood pretty well. Once this stuff fully dries, it is not that dark. The wood color will go back mostly to the light color that you see there. It would be maybe a little bit different, but it's not as dark as you're seeing here. So don't be discouraged if you get this stuff and it's darkening up the color of your project and your paint, especially when you put this over chalk paints, the DIY paints. It does darken them quite a bit. And now I took some extra dark wax off the edges, and I wanted to put this on the edges, and I was going around everything, and it just wasn't getting the feel that I wanted. It wasn't doing like that whole smoky look or the weathered look that we were getting like off of the pumpkins and the house shape from the previous project. So I just started to cover the whole thing with the dark wax to give it an age look. Now, since there's clear wax underneath it, I can control it. It's not going to be really, really dark. If we used only dark wax, it would have darkened it up way too much. So there is a method to the madness, at least for using the clear wax first. You have the ability to darken your project as much as you feel you want to. So again, looking at the finished product here with the waxes, I kind of wiped off a little bit from the front. And again, you could let the stuff dry, but this stuff will take days. 100% takes days to 100% cure or dry. So, of course, in the world of crafting and or recording for crafting, we're not waiting days for it. So I still wanted that edge I wasn't getting. I still think this is absolutely cute, so cute. So I grabbed my distressed ink that I used on the letters, and I went around the edges. Concerned because it had wax all over it that it wouldn't take, but it did. I mean, again, my fingers, I got messy, guys. I got very messy. So don't get me wrong. This is probably a step you need to do before you put on your wax, of course, because again, once this dries, which it's pretty fast drying, just do this step ahead of time. If you want to duplicate something like this, make sure you do this step ahead of time and just kind of go around the edges with the ink pad before you put your wax down. I just had really dirty fingers and then had to go scrub them. But other than that, that ink still stayed on underneath the wax. So it's one of those things where, depending on the order that your ideas show up to you at, you're like, this is a great idea, but I have to start over now. It's like, I'm going to do this, but I put a hole in it. Well, can I make the hole work? Nah, we'll fill it. But it turned out great. Look how cute it is. It's just a cute little tiny sign. It's just little kitschy things, little things that make you happy. And if it's making you happy, then that's all that matters, because right now I am smiling like the biggest cheese ball, man. I just love it. Just love the punkies. Punkies, that's my word. That's 100% Whitney all the way. Everyone who knows me, they're like, I'm gonna put that out. Like, what is that? It's punkies. Just in case you didn't know. Then you have to look at it. Just say punkies. Makes you happy, punkies. That's it for today's video. Tell me what you think. I have the 6 shapes that turned into 3 projects for the Dollar Tree house shapes. Everything here is made out of wood. So I qualify for our wonderful little playlist that I love it. I do plan to join maybe every time. Sometimes I don't want to make time commitments because life gets in the way, but I love the fact that these ladies were also welcoming. Everyone in that group is talented. Take a peek at all those videos. The link is in my playlist. So my link is in my playlist. The playlist is linked in my description below. But tell me what you think about these guys today. I love that whole grouping too. So great. All tabletop displays, all gorgeous. Now, I have a coffee page, so if you feel like you've learned something or you like my videos and you want to support, you can drop a donation there, and also my DIYs will be for sale. And with all of that being said, just like normal, you guys are my fuel, and I love you all. for showing up for me every video. So with all that being said, once again, I love you more than I can possibly say in words. Many hugs, happy crafting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.